just a really strange... Oh! Some kind of fly whisperer. I'm Steve, and welcome to Classified Captures. Now, I'm not gonna say anything. Let's just get on with the episode. A man was walking home late at night when a naked child suddenly started chasing him. He ran, filming as he went, and eventually he lost it. His conclusion was immediate. He believed it was a skinwalker taking the form of a child to lure him in. Now, hold on. We take skinwalker behavior seriously on this channel, but a child running through a neighborhood at night, even like this, is another explanation that can't be ignored. The child could have been real. Children do sneak out, they do get lost, and a scared child running toward the only adult in sight is not impossible. But he never stopped to check. This doesn't rule out the paranormal. It just means that this is one of those moments where the line between something unnatural and something very real gets uncomfortably thin. So what do you think he actually ran from? Someone filming from the top of a building in Capitolo caught this down in the neighborhood below. A figure dressed completely in white, moving quickly through the alleyways, in and out of view, cutting corners, avoiding open spaces. Whatever it is, it clearly does not want to be seen from above. The person filming believes it's a witch operating at night, and to be fair, that belief is not random. Across parts of Latin America and the Caribbean, nocturnal spiritual practices are deeply rooted and widely talked about. But let's ground this for a second. It could just be a person in an unusual outfit out late for reasons we don't understand. That's always on the table. Still, the movement stands out. The speed, the awareness, the way it sticks to cover like it knows exactly where not to be seen. Whatever was down there knew it was exposed, and it moved like it had something to hide. What do you think was actually moving through those alleys? Whoa, no. Whoa. Man, I would need new shorts if that happened to me.
No.
It's such a pity that such a wild, aggressive animal looks so cute, really, you know? Oh, dear God. Man. Whoa.
No. Hey! Stop it!
My God.
Stop it! Not! No!
That's crazy.
Hey! Stop it! Go away! Go!
I think I would just drop dead of a heart attack right there.
Bad! Hey! Stop! Enough! Get!
That's
go.
not...
Go.
I mean, what would you do in that situation? You're supposed to raise yourself up and be as big as possible,
Stop
right?
it.
To try and scare it away, but oh my God. Get the hell out of there.
Stop it! Go away! Go! Enough! Hey! Bad! Hey! Stop! Enough! Get! Go!
A family in Medellin says they've been seeing the same thing since moving into their apartment. A small child, brief glimpses appearing in the room, then slipping behind furniture before anyone can get close enough to be sure. It went on like that for a while. No proof, just sightings. Until one afternoon, the father was home alone and heard something else. Weeping. He turned toward the sound, and there it is, the face of a little boy right beside the TV unit, clear enough to see, real enough to stop you in your tracks. He moves in to check behind the furniture. Nothing. Gone. The family believes whatever happened in that apartment before they arrived left something behind. Not a presence that interacts, just something repeating, lingering in the space it once knew. And that's what makes this unsettling in a different way. Not violent, not aggressive, just still there. What do you think is sharing that apartment with them?
Últimamente he estado intentando la habilidad de hablar.
Is this just a really strange... Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Últimamente he estado
whoa.
intentando la habilidad de hablar mientras ando, pero la verdad...
I'm not good with heights. I'm not good with heights. Why?
Últimamente he estado intentando la habilidad de hablar mientras ando, pero la verdad...
Two friends were hiking and decided to keep going after dark, a choice that already puts this story in dangerous territory. While moving through the trail, they notice something shifting in the brush nearby. One of them slowly turns the camera toward it, and that's when it appears. A pair of glowing eyes between the trees, a head with ears, a heavy hunch across the back, broad shoulders that don't resemble a normal animal in that environment. It moves just enough for the shape to register, then pauses and turns slightly toward the light before slipping away into the darkness. That brief turn is what unsettles most people. Some who've seen the footage say this is not just a large dog. They point to the posture, the build, the way it carries weight through the shoulders, suggesting something that moves differently from anything familiar on four legs. Others lean towards misidentification, something caught at the wrong angle in poor light. The clip itself has been examined by viewers who argue there are no obvious signs of manipulation or the usual inconsistencies seen in generated footage. Whatever it was, the two men made it out safely and shared what they captured. What do you think was moving between those trees? Images from the moon's surface continue to surface with details that raises questions, and this is one of them. When you zoom into this section, there appears to be an object hovering above the ground rather than resting on it. Its shape doesn't resemble loose debris or a natural rock formation. What stands out is the elevation. It looks suspended, slightly detached from the lunar surface instead of sitting directly on it. That single detail is what has people paying attention. The idea of the moon as a potential site of unexplained activity has circulated in research and conspiracy circles for years, and new imagery like this keeps those discussions alive. Because in a vacuum, with low gravity conditions, anything appearing to hover in a stable position raises immediate questions about what's supporting it. Whether that support is an optical illusion, imaging artifact, or something more unusual is where opinions begin to split. So the question remains, what exactly are we looking at on the surface of the moon? A man was living alone and decided to do a walkthrough of his house on camera one night. He moves through the rooms, checks the windows, and talks to the camera as he goes. Everything seems normal until he stops in front of a mirror. He starts speaking directly to it, still alone in the house. Then something appears behind him in the reflection, a child's face peeking out from behind his shoulder. He reacts instantly, spins around, checks the room, but nothing is there. No one in the house, no child anywhere. Mirror accounts like this appear across cultures, often tied to the idea that reflections can reveal what is not physically present in the room. Whether symbolic, psychological, or something more unusual, they tend to carry the same pattern. A brief glimpse, a figure that vanishes on turn, a moment that does not repeat on camera. and in this case, a child where there should be none. So what exactly did the mirror show in that moment?
La verdad, a mí esto me da miedo. Me da bastante miedo, amigos. Pero pues, no nos queda de otra más que aguantar. Si no, imagínense qué vamos a hacer. Ya quisiera yo. ¡No mames! ¡No mames!
This bird looks like it shouldn't exist, but it absolutely does. This is a razorbill, and the first thing you notice is the shape. It's blocky, upright, almost engineered. The thick, blunt beak gives it a look that instantly reminds people of a concept vehicle. And once you see that comparison, it sticks. But the razorbill is not just about appearance. It can fly through the air like any seabird, but it can also dive and move underwater with control, using its wings to push through the sea as if it's still in flight. It lives in the North Atlantic and is closely related to puffins, another seabird built for this same dual life between air and water. What you're looking at is something nature designed for two worlds at once, and refined it long before humans ever started designing machines. A creature that looks artificial but has been doing this for millions of years. A landlord kept losing tenants in under a month, and no one could explain why. Every new occupant moved in, stayed briefly, then left without giving a clear reason. After the latest tenant vacated, he decided to film the empty apartment for a listing, and that's when he finally got his answer. While the camera pans through the kitchen area, something appears in frame. A humanoid head and torso. It takes a few steps across the space, then vanishes. There one moment, gone the next, but clearly visible on the recording. It's safe to say that this is not something that will appear in the property listing, and it also explains the pattern. Whatever is in that apartment was there before the tenants arrived, and based on what was captured, it's still there now. Whether it's a residual imprint of something that happened years ago, or something more active sharing the space, the result is the same. People do not stay, and the next tenant may find out why faster than the last. One of the most consistent observations about UAPs is that they don't always match what people expect to see. The classic saucer shape is only one version of the reports. Some of the most compelling sightings describe objects that don't stand out at all, blending into their surroundings so well that they're missed completely at first glance. This footage appears to show something hovering over a forested area, but the shape is what makes it strange. It has irregular edges, a rough texture, and a form that could easily be mistaken for part of the environment, something you might dismiss as branches tangled in a tree or a rock formation sitting against a hillside, until it moves. And that is the point where it stops looking natural, because effective camouflage does not always mean invisibility. Sometimes it just means looking ordinary enough that the brain ignores it. In this case, the object only drew attention because a cat reportedly noticed it first and triggered the camera to look upward. What you're left with is something that looks like it belongs in the landscape, yet behaves like it doesn't. Real UAP or something generated to mimic one? What do you think's actually up there?
What the hell is going on here? Is this guy like some kind of fly whisperer? Are those actually flies? Are they moths? Some things that attracted to the light, obviously, but what the hell? They're flying ants. Anyone know what they are?
Reports circulating out of Venezuela on June the 24th described two powerful earthquakes striking within minutes of each other, a 7.2 magnitude, followed by a 7.5, both near the Makisha airport. Footage from the area shows chaos as people rush out of terminals and buildings, abandoning belongings as they try to reach open ground. Initial reports suggest widespread impact with injuries and fatalities being reported, though figures are still being updated as authorities continue assessments. A state of emergency has been declared and airport operations have been suspended. What makes this event stand out is not just the strength of the quakes, but the timing. Two major seismic events hitting the same region in such quick succession leaves very little time for already weakened structures to recover before the next shock arrives. That compounding effect is often what turns a major earthquake into a much larger disaster. As the situation continues to develop, the focus now is on search efforts, medical response, and locating anyone still unaccounted for. If you have people in the region, this is a moment where communication matters most. We'll keep following updates as they come in.
Ya, por afuera que tenemos. No salgan allá. Hermano, no, fuera más peligroso, hermano. Por allá, señores, al puerta 4. Por allá.
Two girls ordered chicken strips at a restaurant, but the moment they tried to pull them apart, something felt off. The texture did not behave like real chicken. The way it tore the resistance, even the overall look, raised immediate questions for them. It was not just one detail, it was the combination of small differences that made it feel unfamiliar. We've been covering cultivated meat on this channel over the past year. The technology exists, it has been approved in certain markets, and in some places it's already appearing on menus alongside conventional meat. And that's where the conversation around labeling becomes important, because in mixed environments like that, it's not always obvious what ends up on the plate. In this case, the girls ordered chicken and received something that didn't match their expectation of it. Whether it's a new form of food technology or simply an unusual preparation, the experience raises a simple question about transparency and awareness in what we're being served. What do you think they were actually eating?
Why is it like that? Ew, no!
That's
They really
lab-grown
said
chicken.
strips, huh?
We said
String cheese!
A couple in the Appalachian Mountains forgot to lock their garage before going to bed. Their security camera captured what happened after they fell asleep. A figure appears in the garage. It looks like a man with no trousers on. He stands there and calls out for help, over and over again. Please help, please help. And then it stops. The figure drops to all fours and says it would like a bone. The shift is what makes the footage so unsettling. Because in Appalachian folklore, calls for help are often linked to mimic behavior, entities that imitate distress to lure people out of safety. But the transition here goes further, from pleading for help to a sudden change in posture, to a request that doesn't fit normal human behavior in a moment of distress. The couple only saw the footage the next morning. They had slept through the entire event. And in hindsight, that may have been the safest possible outcome, because whatever was in the garage was not something they opened the door to.
Oh, please! Please help! Somebody!
I would like a bone.
The Centaur footage trend has been circulating for a while now, with clips appearing from different locations, most of them quickly dismissed as AI-generated. But this particular piece is being described in a different way. It's claimed to be from the 1800s. Alongside it comes an account describing remains that were already allegedly recovered and identified as belonging to a half-human, half-horse being. According to the story, the individual lived alone in the woods for their entire life, never approaching settlements, staying within the tree line until death. The remains were later documented and collected by the man who appears in the footage, said to be one responsible for the recovery. The recording shows him presenting or discussing what he claims was found. There is no way to independently confirm the date of the footage or the authenticity of the remains themselves. Centaur figures have long existed in Greek and Roman tradition, often described in ancient accounts as real beings, rather than purely symbolic mythology in the way modern interpretation tends to frame it. Whether anything like that ever physically existed, or whether these materials are reinterpretations, misidentifications, or something fabricated entirely, it's still unverified. And that's where this sits now, between myth, interpretation, and modern tools capable of recreating almost anything convincingly. The question is no longer whether centaurs were real in stories, it's whether anything in the present is being mistaken for evidence of them. A man was driving when his dashboard camera captured something unexpected. Lightning struck the road directly in front of his vehicle, then it struck again, same spot, almost immediately after. 2 strikes in rapid succession at the exact same point before he drove over it. Lightning hitting the same location more than once is not as rare as it seems. Once a channel is formed through the air, electrical discharge can follow that path again, especially under the right atmospheric conditions. Tall structures, conductive surfaces, or localized weather patterns can all increase the chances of repeated strikes in one area. But knowing that in theory is very different from seeing it happen in real time when you're approaching that exact point on the road. The footage makes the moment feel far more extreme than a textbook explanation ever could, and it's a reminder of something simple but important. In severe electrical storms, the safest option is always to stop, stay inside the vehicle, and avoid contact with metal surfaces. The car's frame is designed to carry the charge around the outside, not through the occupants. What is not safe is moving through an active strike zone while it's still developing, because sometimes you don't get a warning before the second strike follows a first. During a press event tied to the Hunter Biden laptop discussion, a woman was speaking at a podium when something unusual happened behind her. Another woman standing nearby appeared to mirror her, not loosely, not occasionally, but in real time, matching her words and even copying her movements, including a specific verbal mistake the speaker made. When you focus on the footage, the woman doing the mimicking looks intensely fixed, not distracted, not casual, almost locked in on the speaker in a way that feels deliberate rather than spontaneous. Then at one point, she seems to notice the camera has caught her. She raises her hand and covers her mouth, cutting the behavior off. Situations like this often get pulled into wider discussions about behavioral influence and historical programs that have been the subject of declassified documents and ongoing speculation. But there's also a simpler possibility that needs to be considered. Press environments are chaotic. People repeat phrases unintentionally, echo speech patterns under stress, or fall into unconscious mimicry when focused on a speaker for long periods. And sometimes, the camera simply catches a moment of awkward behavior at the worst possible angle. The question is whether this was intentional coordination, unconscious imitation, or just a strange coincidence that looks far more structured when slowed down and isolated. What do you think is happening in that clip?
Into the record, page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employees. Just have some administrative matters first. I wanted to introduce into the record page 55 from the committee's interview with FBI employee Roya Demlow. We're to leave this interview and we're to suggest or imply that when you said the laptop was real, that it meant that the FBI had affirmatively determined in October 2020 that the laptop belonged to Hunter Biden.
Someone was walking through town during the Christmas period when they noticed something strange on a building window. It looks like a skin or hide stretched flat against the glass. At first glance, it could pass as a decoration, something left up for the season, but then it falls. It drops off the window, lands, and in the same moment appears to find its footing, and it runs straight toward the woods. What stands out in the footage is not just the movement, but the transition from something flat and still against a surface to something upright and mobile on impact. The shift is what makes people stop and rewind. The posture while running reads almost human, but the earlier moment is what lingers, something pressed flat against glass, motionless until it's not. Interpretations naturally split here. Some view it through the lens of folklore, pointing to skinwalker descriptions where entities appear in unnatural forms before moving. Others see a more grounded explanation like fabric, a display material, or something lightweight dislodged by wind or impact that briefly takes an unusual shape as it falls. The direction it runs toward the woods adds to the unease for those who lean into the paranormal reading. For others, it simply follows the path of least visibility from a startled animal or person. What is left is a short sequence that looks simple in real time, but becomes harder to classify the more you watch it. Something flat on the grass, then movement, then disappearance into the trees, and the question of what it actually was remains open. A witness in Montana captured something unusual in the night sky. A line of green neon lights, round, evenly spaced, sitting flat in the sky. They moved together, shifting back and forth as a single formation. Not like aircraft, not like typical light display, just synchronized points of green light holding formation as they change position. What stands out is the structure of it, the spacing, the consistency, the way each light mirrors the movement of the others without breaking formation. Green aerial lights have been reported in other locations as well, including sightings in Canada early in the year and scattered reports from other regions. Because of that repetition, some in the UAP research space pay attention when similar patterns appear again. Same color, similar spacing, similar behavior. Still, there's no confirmed explanation tied to this specific Montana footage. It could be a coordinated aerial system, atmospheric reflection, or an optical effect interacting with distant light sources in a way that compresses perception at depth. Or it could be something deliberately controlled and unfamiliar. What makes clips like this difficult is not just what is seen, but how consistent the pattern feels across different places with no shared context. And for now, Montana is simply the latest point on the map. A line of green lights moving together without an answer that fully settles what they are. Here we have another chilling ghost photo, this time taken by a group of explorers who visited the infamous Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky. Known for its dark history and ghostly activity, the sanatorium has been a hot spot for paranormal investigations. As the group moved through the halls, they took photographs of various rooms, capturing what appeared to be just another empty space. But upon closer inspection, one shot stood out. In the doorway of what should have been an empty room, there's a shadowy figure on the floor. It looks like two legs and then a third appendage that throws everyone off. Some say it looks like a person in mid-motion, but others aren't so sure. If it's a human, what explains the third leg? And why does the figure seem more like a shadow with mass than a person casting one? The figure appears dark, almost leaf-like, which led some to initially brush it off as debris or distortion, but the shape and positioning tell a different story. Waverly Hills is no stranger to strange sightings. Many believe it to be haunted by the spirits of those who once suffered and died there, especially in its infamous body chute and surgical rooms. So what do you see here? Moving on, we got another chilling video. This one was shared by a woman who was completely alone in her room when she noticed something that stopped her cold. On the wall, she saw a shadow, but it wasn't hers. From where she stood, there's no way that shadow could have belonged to her. She even reached out toward it, trying to see if her movements would sync up with the figure on the wall, but nothing. The shadow didn't move, didn't react. It just stayed perfectly still. She panned the camera around the room, trying to figure out what could be casting it. There were no objects, no lights, no other people. It's clearly shaped like a person, so what is it then? Shadow people. That's what some are calling it. These entities have been reported around the world to be dark, human-like silhouettes that appear out of nowhere and often disappear just as mysteriously. Some believe they're spirits, others think they might be interdimensional beings or watchers from the other side. Would you have stayed in that room or gotten the hell out the moment you saw it? If you didn't like physics while in school, then it's because I was not your physics teacher. This next clip will involve a little of physics, and you're allowed to call me the professor for the next 60 to 120 seconds. I know what you're wondering, why the balloon didn't pop. The answer is simple. Darker colors absorb more heat because they absorb a wider range of light wavelengths, converting them into heat, while lighter colors reflect most of the light, absorbing less heat. This principle explains why the darker balloons popped and the white ones didn't when exposed to sunlight. The dark pigment in the balloons absorbs more energy, causing the temperature inside to rise quickly, increasing the pressure and causing the balloon to pop. In an experiment where a dark balloon was placed inside a white balloon, the dark balloon popped while the white balloon remained intact. This happened because the white balloon reflected most of the light, while the dark balloon inside absorbed the light and heat, causing it to burst. So why Aaron would want a paranormal explanation for this one? Well, I had to put my physics cap on. How did I do as Professor Steve? Here we have another intriguing UFO sighting. A person on a plane captured footage of a disc-shaped craft in the sky. The craft appeared from above, flew side by side with the plane, then ascended higher before descending and vanishing below. The UFO was very smooth and shiny with a sleek, polished appearance. Some people believe it's CGI, a cleverly edited piece of digital art. Others are convinced it's real, possibly evidence of extraterrestrial technology or advanced human-made craft. But what do you think? The way the craft moved with such fluidity and precision raises questions. Could it be an advanced drone or experimental aircraft, or is it something entirely beyond our current understanding? This sighting, like many others, sparks a lot of debate. Skeptics point to the possibility of digital manipulation, while believers see it as potential proof of UFO activity. What do you say? Night rides can be haunting, especially when something strange appears out of nowhere. A man recently retrieved some eerie footage from his dashcam after a late-night drive that left him shaken. As he was cruising down a quiet, empty street, his headlights suddenly caught something or someone standing directly in the middle of the road. Startled, he swerved into the other lane to avoid hitting her, nearly running off the road entirely before regaining control and getting back on track. But here's where it gets really unsettling. When you watch the footage, you can clearly make out what looks like a woman dressed completely in white from head to toe. Now the big question, who or what was she? Why would anyone be out there in the dead of night alone on a deserted road, unless she wasn't human? Some believe this might have been an apparition of those classic woman in white ghost sightings that have been reported all around the world. But what do you think? This eerie photograph was taken by an older woman who was simply snapping a picture of a granddaughter during a visit. At the time, she didn't notice anything unusual, but later, when she took a closer look, something in the background caught her eye. On the left side of the photograph, there appears to be another face, one that clearly wasn't there when the picture was taken. It's the face of a woman, and she seems to be staring directly at the girl, but what's even more unsettling is her eyes. They're narrow and slit, almost like a cat's or a snake's. The face itself also looks slightly transparent and distorted. The family was freaked out. Not only could they not recognize the face as any known relative or friend, but the odd features, especially the eye, set a lot of fear and speculation. Some thought it might be the ghost of a stranger, while others wondered if it was something even darker, perhaps a demonic entity or a shapeshifter. What are your thoughts?
This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it. Oh my God.
This man was out at sea when, late at night, he began hearing strange sounds coming from the ocean, an eerie, loud, scream-like shriek that cut through the stillness of the night. He believes it might be a siren calling to him, a belief shared by many others. The sound echoed across the water, unlike anything he had ever heard before, an almost human-like wail that seemed to emanate from the depths of the ocean. Sirens, part of maritime folklore for centuries, are said to lure sailors to their doom with their haunting songs. These mythical beings are often depicted as both beautiful and deadly, using their voices to enchant and ensnare unsuspecting sailors. What do you think could be causing these strange sounds? Could it be a siren, or maybe there is a more scientific explanation?
That's crazy.
We're gonna investigate it, but there's definitely something out there that does not sound like wildlife I've ever heard. So,
A policeman was out to patrol an area by the woods after residents complained about a strange noise coming from the forest. The noises were cries that didn't match any known creature, echoing through the night and unsettling the community. Some residents, however, stated that the area was known for dogman sightings. This creature, described as a large bipedal canine with a muscular build and human-like characteristics, had reportedly been seen in these woods for years. As the policeman ventured deeper into the woods, he heard the eerie cries growing louder. The policeman did not get out of his car to take a look into the woods. He only drove by the woodlands, making sure that whatever was there was not getting to the residents. You can hear the haunting sounds in the backgrounds of the video. This is definitely not a small creature.
we're gonna investigate it, but there's definitely something out there that does not sound like wildlife I've ever heard. So,
Back in 2022, something strange happened at Mammoth Cave National Park in Kentucky. It was strange enough that federal officials got involved. According to reports, a couple had gone camping in the park when they were startled by the sound of gunshots in the middle of the night. Turns out the gunshots had come from another camper, a man who was out there with his young son. When questioned, the man said he had fired his gun because he saw something approaching them, and not just anything. He claimed it was Bigfoot. Yup, Bigfoot. He insists that the creature had come too close to him and his son, and in fear, he pulled out his weapon and fired. Now, you might think this sounds like a campfire story, but here's the part that makes this so interesting. Federal agents actually investigated it. This wasn't dismissed as a joke or some wild story. So what does that tell us? People say Bigfoot is just a myth, a hoax, or something people use to scare each other in the woods. But if it's all fake, why would the feds get involved in a shooting tied to a Bigfoot sighting? Could this be a first crack in the wall that proves that the cryptids might be out there?
Again and his girlfriend returned to their tent. Said about 5 to 10 minutes later, they heard at least one gunshot. The man and his son returned to the couple's tent and stated that Bigfoot had emerged from the woods and approached him, so he fired his weapon.
Someone shared this strange video they took while stepping outside to get some fresh air. It was supposed to be a quiet moment, but then they looked up and caught this. A massive, dark shape glided through the sky. It might just look like a large bird or maybe even a plane, but slow it down and it gets weirder. The wings are broad and bat-like, the tail curves down, and the head was like a snout. Some people online are saying it looks exactly like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, and honestly, they're not wrong. The silhouette is eerily close, but this is the internet after all. Some argue it's a drone, others say it's just CGI or a manipulated shadow. As for me, I want to believe, but something about the clip feels a little too clean. If dragons ever do make a comeback, this might be the first sign of it.
What in the... I'm recording it. What the hell is that?
Speaking of clouds, would you believe me if I told you it once rained on our planet for at least 1 million years? Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, it actually did happen and was known as the Carnian Pluvial Event. It occurred 232 to 234 million years ago during the late Triassic, a period of intense and prolonged rainfall lasting 1 to 2 million years, triggered by massive volcanic eruptions in modern-day Alaska and British Columbia. These eruptions released vast amounts of greenhouse gases, warming the planet and intensifying monsoon conditions. The resulting environmental upheaval caused mass extinctions, particularly among marine species and early reptiles, while reshaping ecosystems. However, this catastrophic event also created opportunities for new life forms, paving the way for the rise of dinosaurs, modern conifers, and other terrestrial species, fundamentally transforming Earth's biodiversity. What would happen if this happened in our day? Well, it would cause catastrophic flooding, mass extinctions, and global ecosystem collapse. Massive volcanic eruptions would accelerate warming, disrupt weather patterns, destroy habitats, and deplete ocean oxygen, devastating marine life. Human infrastructure, agriculture, and public health would face unprecedented challenges, straining resources and forcing mass migrations. It may even lead to extinction, but that's enough hypothesizing for today. We all don't want a future where the Earth's flooded. Well, let's move on to the next clip. Moving back to the subject of unidentified flying objects, what do you think this is? The individual who uploaded this on our paranormal platform did not include the location of the filming, but, according to him, they didn't look like human crafts. By the time they could get their camera out to record, whatever these things were already too far away. They sought answers from the Air Force, and they were told that it was a visiting unit. They also added that they were typically drop flares during their exercises over water. If you compare the second shot showing on your right currently, you'll notice that the flares they deployed during their exercises are slightly different from the ones we see in our original footage. Am I just seeing things, or do we really have a reason to doubt the information from the Air Force? I'll leave you to decide that. Some guys in the UK shared this bizarre footage, and honestly, it might just mess with your head a little. The video shows a quiet neighborhood street, nothing too out of the ordinary, until you spot the person standing at the curb. At first glance, it looks like he's just waiting for something. And then you notice that he's not moving at all, not even a twitch. His hands are shoved deep into his hoodie pocket, his head tilted downwards with one of his legs slightly mid-stride. It's almost like he was about to take a step, but somehow ended up completely still. Then a car comes driving and passes right in front of this person, but still he doesn't react. People online are losing it over this, with many saying it looks like a glitch in the Matrix. You know, like when a video game freezes for a second or the simulation messes up and forgets to unpause the character. Some even suggest his map was still downloading in front of him like a video game. Some even suggest that the player in another dimension might have paused the game and walked away for a lunch break. Sounds funny, I know, but do you have a more logical explanation for this? If you do, kindly share.
He's gone AFK. Whoever the controlling him needs to hit mine, bud, sharpish, mate. What the I'm not home, I'm eating.
Do you believe in coincidences? Because this one is crazy. Take a look at this old footage of John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They're sitting in a room reading through fan mail when John opens one letter that instantly changes the mood. Listen closely to what he reads.
Dear Mr. Lennon, from information I received while using a Ouija board, I believe that there will be an attempt to assassinate you. The spirit that gave me this information was Brian Epstein.
The letter is from a fan who says they used a Ouija board, and the spirit they contacted told them that John Lennon was going to be assassinated. They also wrote that the spirit who gave them this message claimed to be Brian Epstein, the Beatles' former manager. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, Brian Epstein passed away years before John did, and John Lennon didn't in fact. He was murdered, just like the letter implied. You can see John reading it out loud just like it's just another strange message, but in hindsight, it hits differently. Could it really be just a coincidence? Well, maybe, but let's not forget that this message came through a Ouija board, and those things have a long reputation for being tied to the paranormal. In the paranormal community, they're not something you mess around with lightly. So what do you think? Was this just eerie timing, or did the spirit of Brian Epstein really warn John about his death?
Dear Mr. Lennon, from information I received while using a Ouija board, I believe that there will be an attempt to assassinate you. The spirit that gave me this information was Brian Epstein.
What is that?
Super frustrating. Might be the super people Maldakian. It's holding its position straight up and down.
It's one straight up and down and staying that way.
This footage comes from Sequoia National Park, where visitors noticed something truly peculiar floating in the sky. The object appeared to have a humanoid shape glowing with an otherworldly light. What's even stranger is that it seemed to be slowly rotating with its arms outstretched and one leg visible. The figure remained suspended in the sky, motionless. Many are speculating this is an alien being casually hovering above Earth, or perhaps a new type of drone or experimental technology. Whatever it is, the eerie glow and unusual shape makes it difficult to explain away. What do you think this strange entity could be?
What is that?
Super frustrating. Might be the super people Maldakian. It's holding its position straight up and down.
It's one straight up and down and staying that way.
This eerie footage comes straight out of Jaipur, where a burning car on the streets has left people stunned. The passengers had already been rescued, leaving the car engulfed in flames. But then, something chilling happens. The blazing car starts moving on its own. It rolls steadily down the street as though someone were behind the wheel, flames roaring all the while. The sight sent people running for cover and nearby vehicles scrambling to clear the path. What's even stranger is how controlled its movements seemed, almost deliberate, before it finally came to a halt. Locals have since dubbed it the haunted burning car. But was it really haunted, or could there be a more grounded explanation? Could the heat have affected the gears, or did gravity play a role? Still, the way it moved so steadily makes you wonder. I've always said places get abandoned for a reason and nothing good ever really comes out of exploring them. Here's a story that backs that up. A male nurse working the night shift at a large hospital decided to check out a part of the building that had been sealed off for years. It was an old wing that was abandoned. Nobody really went near it anymore, but that night, around 3 a.m., when things were calm and quiet, curiosity got the better of him. With his phone out, he made his way through the silent, empty halls. Surprisingly, the place didn't look as run down as you'd expect. Everything was just still. As he walked, he panned his camera around to get the full view of the area. It wasn't until later when he rewatched the footage that he saw it, something that made his stomach drop. In the corner of one of the rooms, just barely in view, was a dark shadow, and the chilling part, he'd been completely alone at the time. No other staff, no patients, just him and, well, whatever that was. Now, this hospital really had a reputation. Staff had previously reported weird objects falling off the shelves, cold spots, and strange noises. But nothing had ever been caught on camera until now. So did he actually capture the source of those eerie happenings? And is this shadow figure the real reason that the wing was closed off for all those years ago? Why do they call Las Vegas Sin City? Is it because of the fast-paced lifestyle, the nightlife, and the city's reputation for gambling, parties, and things that stay in Vegas? But lately, something about Vegas has felt off. A group of friends went out one night expecting the usual buzz, bright lights, crowds, music, the energy of tourists from all over. But what they found was the opposite. The city felt almost abandoned. Streets that once pulsed with life were quiet. Even major spots like the MGM Grand looked empty. Where was the vibrant nightlife, the dancers, street performers, the hum of people moving from one casino to the next? They walked around for a while and didn't see a single person. It felt eerie, like the city had been paused or like something had cleared everyone out. Has the charm worn off? Or is there something deeper happening in Vegas that people aren't talking about? Have you ever seen a plane do this before? Just look at how it moves side to side and then rotates in the air. It doesn't seem to be having any technical difficulties either. The person who shared the footage claims it's real, but can pilots really pull off these stunts with a passenger plane? Watching the footage is mesmerizing and a bit unnerving. The plane's movements are fluid and almost acrobatic, which is something you'd expect from a fighter jet, not a commercial passenger aircraft. It weaves side to side, performs sharp banks, and even rotates in mid-air in a way that almost seems too precise and controlled for such a large plane. If this footage is genuine, it raises many questions. First and foremost, are such maneuvers even possible for a passenger plane? While commercial aircraft are designed to withstand significant stress and perform basic evasive maneuvers, they're not built for the kind of aerial stunts shown in the video. The physics of flight for a large, heavily laden plane are vastly different from those of a nimble fighter jet or aerobatic plane. What are your thoughts? Do you believe the footage is genuine, or could it be a cleverly edited clip? Mars has been a planet of great fascination, drawing intensive research and exploration.
And now a new photograph has been released. That's really going to make you sit up and take notice. It's an entirely new face on Mars, and this time appears to be the face of a woman wearing a crown.
During these studies, scientists have stumbled upon numerous puzzling features, one of the most intriguing being what appears to be faces. Yes, faces on the Martian surface have been spotted, sparking considerable excitement and debate among researchers. One of the most notable discoveries is the second face observed on Mars.
This is now the second face image, not the Cydonia one. This is at another location on Mars near the famous dark marking Syrtis Major. It's located about a quarter away around the planet from Cydonia.
When scientists enhanced the image, they were able to get a clearer view, and what they saw was astonishing. The formation closely resembles a feminine face adorned with what looks like a crown on her head. You can distinctly make out the nose, mouth, and what appears to be eyes. This raises the question, what could these faces mean? Are they simply natural rock formations that coincidentally resemble human features, or is there something more to these mysterious shapes? Share your thoughts.
The coloration is always artist's addition to the original image shown here. Don't let that detract from the original image shown on the left.
This video was shared by a woman from the Philippines. She said it all began around 1 a.m. when she was up late watching TV. That's when she heard a loud knock at the door and the voice of a woman screaming and begging to be let in. She didn't open the door. Instead, she peeked through the window but saw nothing. 2 nights later, it happened again. This time there was no screaming, just loud, insistent knocking. This time she slowly opened the door just a crack, and that's when she saw it. A woman in a dark robe bent unnaturally low with long messy hair that covered most of her face. As soon as the door opened, the figure suddenly took off, disappearing into the night. The woman slammed the door shut in a shock. So, who now believes it wasn't human at all, but a witch possibly trying to gain entrance into her home? And perhaps the reason the figure fled when the door opened was that she had some kind of protection that kept him from stepping in. I came across this video recently, and it really had me doing a lot of research. It was drawing some bizarre and almost unbelievable parallels between the lives of John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln. Now, let me tell you, some of them are absolutely wild. Take a look.
Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost a child while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their 3 names, both names composed of 15 letters. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln, made by Ford. Both and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker: a week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe. And Lincoln was shot in a theater, and the assassin ran to a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse, and the assassin ran to a theater.
I had to dig a little deeper, and it turns out there are some cracks in this eerie comparison. For starters, Lincoln didn't have a secretary named Kennedy, despite what the video said. John Wilkes Booth, the man who killed Kennedy, wasn't born in 1838. He was born in 1839. Oh, and Marilyn Monroe passed away more than a year before Kennedy was assassinated, not just a week before, like the channel claimed. Still, even after clearing up these exaggerations, the remaining parallels are still incredibly strange. I mean, what are the odds that two presidents, a century apart, linked by the chain of events and details that line up almost too perfectly? Is this one giant coincidence, or could there be something deeper? I'll let you guys decide on this one. A man was out fishing in calm waters when his line suddenly snagged onto something big. Excited, he began reeling it in, but midway through, whatever was on the other end started to thrash violently, causing a stir in the water. As he kept pulling, the creature's lower half emerged briefly from the surface. What he hooked was not your average fish. It looked like a massive catfish. The sheer size of this creature was jaw-dropping, far larger than what you'd expect from the usual catch. The struggle continued as the beast aggressively wiggled, resisting the incredible force. We don't get to see the final thing, but what do you think this is?
Really hard to see. It's all clouds too.
There's a lot of talk about conspiracies surrounding secret agencies allegedly creating artificial weather like fake suns, clouds, and even rain. Let's examine this footage. A man noticed an unusual patch of cloud hovering over a body of water. At first glance, the cloud seemed suspiciously low, much closer to the water's surface than typical clouds. Then something remarkable occurred. From the side of the cloud, there appeared to be an emission of more clouds, almost as if the original cloud was actively producing additional ones, making it grow in size. Could this be a naturally occurring phenomenon like mist or fog interacting with atmospheric conditions, or are we looking at evidence of weather manipulation? Aaron thinks it's a UFO, but let's hear your thoughts on it too.
Really hard to see. It's all clouds too.
Acid rain has always been one of the most dangerous threats to ecosystems. It damages forests, pollutes water bodies, and eats away at buildings and soil, but thankfully, scientists have figured out how to manage it over the years, mainly by filtering the affected water and reducing emissions. But now, there's something new and worse. Researchers have just discovered a new type of acid rain, and unlike the one we're used to, this one is water-soluble. That means it blends so well with water that our current filtration systems can't remove it. It's much harder to detect, harder to control, and much more dangerous for both the environment and human health. At the moment, scientists don't yet have the technology to properly filter or neutralize this type of acid rain. Yeah. I don't have words for this. We just have to be careful. There's no doubt that this could be the next big environmental crisis in the making. Back in 2014, the world witnessed one of the most shocking cyber attacks in entertainment history. Sony Pictures was hacked allegedly by North Korea, and all because of a comedy film. It was a satire called The Interview, starring James Franco and Seth Rogen. The movie poked fun at the North Korean regime with a fictional plot to assassinate Kim Jong-un. It was meant to be an outrageous comedy, but the response was anything but funny. Hackers who identified themselves as the Guardians of Peace breached Sony's servers and leaked everything from confidential emails, unannounced film projects, entire scripts, unreleased movies, and private employee data. The attack humiliated studio execs, exposed internal racism and sexism, and forced major changes in leadership and policy. The fallout was massive. Sony had to pull the film from major theatrical releases due to threats of violence, and since then, Hollywood has become hyper-cautious about political content, especially anything involving authoritarian regimes. Some say the Sony hack helped usher in a more sanitized, corporate-safe version of the entertainment industry as we see today. A cave explorer went out to investigate an old abandoned mine. As he carefully approached the entrance not too far from the surface, he noticed something unsettling move in the darkness. He stopped, then he turned his camera toward the shadows, and there it was. Just for a split second, a tall, slender figure appeared deep inside the cave. It seemed to retreat almost immediately, but you can clearly make out its glowing eyes and elongated form. The explorer didn't wait to get a second look. He turned and ran without looking back. Now here's where things get even stranger. This figure was unnaturally tall. Its head nearly reached the ceiling of the cave, which is massive on its own. Some who've seen the footage believe it's a skinwalker, while others lean toward an alien entity. And, of course, some think it could just be a very well-done hoax. But what do you think was hiding in that cave? There are countless stories out there about people who unknowingly bought haunted houses or even brought haunted items into their homes. One particularly interesting case was shared by a man on TikTok, and it's just the kind of story that gives you chills. He explained that he was home alone when he started hearing strange noises coming from his garage. Remember, this man lives by himself. Curious and a little uneasy, he went to check it out. The noise seemed to be coming from the ceiling area of the garage, where there was an attic-like crawl space, so he climbed up to investigate. Once up there, the noise had stopped, but he noticed something odd. As he scanned the area with his camera, he came across a small black box tucked away in a corner. Naturally, curiosity got the better of him. He opened it. What he found inside was disturbing. It was a very old, eerie-looking doll, some random, outdated items, and what looked like a Christmas ornament. He immediately felt something was off. The whole situation gave him a bad feeling, so he left everything where he found it. But ever since that day, strange things have been happening around his home. Doors creaking open on their own, strange whispers at night, flickering lights. He believes it all started when he opened that box. Now, I'm no expert, but even I know that sometimes when you come across sealed-looking ancient items, it's best to leave them alone. Some are cursed objects, whereas some trap entities that are not meant to be roaming freely. If we go by that analogy, then we can say that the man most definitely released something when he opened the black box. That's my thinking, though. What say you? Let's take a look at a few gadgets and technologies that are crossing the line. For starters, scientists have now grown brain cells in a lab and are teaching them to play video games. Real, living neurons that can process, respond, and even improve over time outside of a human body. Sounds like the beginning of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? Then there's AI that's able to figure out your password just by listening to you type. The rhythm and sound of your keystrokes might be all it needs. No need for hacking. Digital billboards are also getting an upgrade. These new models are built with facial recognition and emotion-reading sensors, and as you walk past, they scan your face, assess your mood, and instantly switch the ad to something more suitable for you. And just when you think you've got a little privacy in your bathroom, smart toilets are being developed to analyze your waste. From checking your diet to detecting early signs of disease, these toilets could give you a full health report every time you flush. Now, none of this is rumor. These technologies are either in development, being tested, or already rolled out. The chances are interacting with them without even realizing it. One day, we might look back and wonder when we stopped being the users and started being the product. They say climate change is now unavoidable, and over the years, scientists and researchers have come up with countless ways to slow it down, or at least manage the damage. From cutting emissions to carbon capture tech, it's been one idea after another. But guess what their next big idea is? Covering the sun. Yeah, seriously, some scientists are now exploring ways to block or dim portions of the sun's rays to cool the planet. The concept is known as solar geoengineering. One popular method being discussed involves spraying tiny particles into the upper atmosphere to reflect sunlight away from the Earth. The idea sounds like science fiction, but it's real. Supporters say it could buy us time, especially as global temperatures continue to rise, but critics are warning that it might also mess with weather patterns, crops, rainfall, and ecosystems in ways we can't predict. Imagine one region cooling too much while another gets plunged into drought. We've already changed the planet enough. Is dimming the sun really the answer, or could it end up being a gamble that we regret? In Tula, Hidalgo, Mexico, some researchers made a stunning discovery. About 10 feet underground, they unearthed what appeared to be an ancient sarcophagus. But what caught everyone's attention was what was on it. The tomb was covered in carvings and patterns that didn't match typical Mesoamerican art. Instead, they resembled what many describe as alien-like figures with elongated heads, large eyes, and symbols that some say are not from this world. What's more intriguing is that this sarcophagus is believed to predate even the oldest Mesoamerican tombs, making it a true archaeological mystery. Many are now wondering if this is finally the proof we've been waiting for. Skeptics suggest it could just be a misinterpretation of early art or an unknown civilization with a unique style, but believers in ancient astronaut theories see this as a possible link between early human civilization and extraterrestrial contact. So, is this just ancient art, or the long-lost proof that we were never alone? Florida is now known as one of the strangest places in the U.S., especially with all the recent UFO sightings, mysterious drones flying around, and weird footage surfacing online. Recently, someone shared strange footage from a beach in Florida. In it, there's a pelican perched calmly on a fence, and the bird appears transparent. You can see through parts of its body, almost like it's not fully present in our reality. It doesn't look like a reflection or lighting issue either. It's as if the bird is flickering between dimensions. The internet lit up with theories. Some say it's an interdimensional creature or a shapeshifter caught mid-shift. Others believe it could be a cloaked surveillance drone made to resemble a bird. And then there are the skeptics who argue it's just a camera glitch or a clever video editing. But here's the thing. If it's edited, it's incredibly subtle. And if it's not, well, then we might have just caught a glimpse of something far stranger than anyone expected on an ordinary beach day. A Redditor recently shared a photo online that left people unsettled. It was meant to be a cute snapshot of his toddler son enjoying a weekend at his grandmother's house. According to the grandmother, they'd gone out to the park that day. She was sitting under the shade of a tree while the little boy played in the open field. But later, when she looked at the image again, her heart skipped a beat. There weren't one, but two little boys in the photo. You can clearly see two toddlers walking side by side with their backs to the camera. One is wearing white and the other blue. Her grandson was wearing white, and she swore on everything that he was completely alone. Startled, she immediately sent the image to her son, the boy's father, to ask who the child in blue could be. He had no idea, nor did anyone else, so now the family was shaken. Some people online speculated that it might have been an imaginary friend caught on camera. After all, kids are known to create vivid playmates in their minds. Skeptics chimed in, saying it could be a digital edit or a double exposure, maybe even a passing kid that no one noticed. But the grandmother insists that there were no other children there. So, was it just a coincidence or proof that some imaginary friends aren't so imaginary after all? A man was visiting the Grand Canyon, and like most people, he decided to film the incredible views. The footage shows the vast stretch of mountains reaching far into the distance, but as the camera slowly pans over one particular ridge, something strange comes into view. Right there at the top of one of the cliffs is what looks like a perfectly smooth hole carved into the side of the mountain. It looks like an entrance that goes deep inside the rock, and it doesn't look natural at all. The shape is too deliberate, but who made it? Could this be a hidden cave created by an ancient civilization, a secret military entrance, or something not of this world? Some people believe the Grand Canyon holds hidden cities, lost tunnels, and even underground bases. So is this just another rock formation or a clue to those secrets? This footage is straight up unsettling. It was taken from a factory security camera, and it shows a robot suspended from a mechanical rig, most likely undergoing tests or maintenance. Two people are standing nearby, possibly technicians. At first, everything looks routine, but then something strange happens. The robot slowly lifts its hand and begins reaching toward one of the individuals in front of it, and then, without warning, it throws its arms around them in what almost looks like a forced embrace. The people immediately back away, clearly startled, and then cautiously move in to stabilize the robot. It's unclear whether this was misprogramming, but it's moments like this that make people question the wisdom of building robots that can move, think, or even react on their own. So are we really ready to have machines like this living and working amongst us, around our homes, in our schools, near our kids? Because if something goes wrong like we just saw, how would we defend ourselves? Remember back when the news was going around that water was drying up and we were heading straight into a catastrophic global drought? People were panicking, thinking Earth was running out of water and we were all doomed. Well, guess what? Turns out that may have been a stretch. Recent findings have shown that Earth might have a far more sustainable water system than we thought. All around the globe, there have been reports of fresh water naturally flowing from the Earth, from underground springs, mountain leaks, and even some trees seeping fresh drinkable water. In some places, springs have appeared where none existed before, and water continues to flow despite little rainfall. It's made many people question where all this extra water is coming from. Sure, we still need to be mindful of pollution and water waste, but this discovery challenges the whole "we're running out of water" narrative. It could mean that Earth has natural replenishing water reserves we're just starting to understand. So, was the water shortage warning a fear tactic, a misunderstanding, or something else entirely? A home security camera was set up facing a quiet community. As dusk fell, the camera picked up something strange. A sudden flash of light, followed by what looked like an orb zipping by at high speed. This wasn't a meteor or fireworks, and it definitely wasn't a light show, but then again you have to wonder, What kind of object moves like that with no sound and such precision? Some suggest experimental military tech, others think it's a surveillance drone not made by humans at all. You've seen the clip, so what do you also think? This video was taken at Lake Champlain, and it shows something strange. Right there in the water, you can see an odd-looking creature with just the top of its head at the surface. Whatever it is, it's pretty massive, and it moves smoothly through the water, almost too smoothly for any regular animal. Now, let's get this out of the way. This is not a hippo. The shape of the head, especially that long snout, resembles a crocodile or an alligator, but even then, something about it looks off. The skin texture just doesn't match any known animal we'd expect in that lake. So what are we looking at? Well, for those who don't know, there's a folklore creature tied to Lake Champlain. It's called Champ, short for Champy. People say it's like a serpent-like monster, like North America's version of the Loch Ness Monster. Stories about Champ go way back, and although scientists haven't confirmed anything, there are tons of alleged sightings and even a few old photographs and videos floating around. This particular video adds to the mystery. Is it a hoax, a misidentified animal, or did someone just capture a real glimpse of the legendary lake monster? Lately, there's been a lot of attention surrounding Justin Bieber. There's a lot of speculation and scrutiny, especially aimed at him and his family, with Justin stepping more into his Christian faith and recently welcoming his first child with his wife, Hailey. You'd think the world would be more focused on celebrating his growth, but instead, it feels like the pressure and criticism have only intensified. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this happen to a major artist. Think back to Michael Jackson, who began speaking out about powerful figures in the music industry, and shortly after, he was labeled as unstable, controversial, and even dangerous. The same pattern followed Kanye West. As soon as he started publicly addressing deeper, more uncomfortable truths, the narrative around him began to shift rapidly. Justin grew up in this industry. He lived through the fame, and now he seems to be trying to live life on his own terms. But the moment he steps into roles like husband and father and begins showing more spiritual awareness in his Christian life, suddenly there is news that he's off or not himself. It makes you wonder if Michael, Kanye, and now Justin are trying to show us something about the inner workings of the industry all along. Is it just a coincidence that artists who pull back the curtains start getting dragged through the mud? Maybe there's more going on behind the scenes than most people realize. What do you think?
Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish.
This woman was online venting about something, visibly upset and on the verge of tears, except when she finally cried. Something strange happened. Instead of clear tears, bright yellow liquid streamed down her face. Just look at that. The internet went wild when she posted the footage. Many viewers were shocked and confused about how this could even be possible. Some were quick to call it fake or edited, thinking it was some kind of stunt for attention, but surprisingly, there's a real medical explanation behind it. There's a condition that can cause yellow tears called xanthopsia, or more specifically, the yellow coloration may be linked to conditions like jaundice, where bile pigments can affect tear composition. Another possibility is an infection or inflammation in the tear duct, such as dacryocystitis, which can cause discharge that is yellowish due to pus or mucus mixing with tears. Ew. Vitamin imbalances, medication, side effects, or even certain autoimmune diseases can also play a role. So while rare, yellow tears aren't impossible, and in this woman's case, it might have been a genuine medical issue rather than a hoax. Would you like me to look into more rare conditions like this one? But I'm telling you now, I ain't looking into any conditions that have got to do with pus. I'm just not doing it. Ugh, not doing it.
Why am I kind yellow?
A group of women had gone on a peaceful lake getaway to celebrate a birthday. As the sun began to set, they gathered near the water for a photograph. Everyone was smiling, enjoying the moment. It was one of those simple, beautiful memories. But later, when the owner of the photo was going through the pictures, she noticed something strange. Right behind one of the women sitting in the group was a small boy. He was just standing there, facing the camera, as if he'd been part of the group. But none of the women had brought a child. It was an adults-only trip, and everyone was sure that there were no kids anywhere around the lake during this stay. The boy looked kind of ghostly, like he wasn't fully solid, almost like a faded figure standing in the background. And to make it even weirder, the woman shared the live version of the image. In the live shot, the camera sensor scans all across the woman, but not the boy. It didn't register him being there. So, was he a ghost? A man walks into an abandoned bunker, and the floor is covered in red, still water. No ripples, no sound, just a glassy red pool stretching across the room. It looks like blood, but it's not, and somehow that makes it even more unsettling. Imagine walking into that silence. The air is heavy, and the color of the water so vivid it almost glows. It feels like you've stepped into something you were never meant to see, and naturally the theories start flying. Was this the site of a secret experiment? Chemical runoff? Some kind of ritual space? Well, some people say it's paranormal, maybe a spiritual hotspot, maybe a portal. Who knows? But here's the science behind it. That strange red color can come from a couple of things. One is microscopic life, halosophilic organisms like Dunalilia salina or halobacteria. These tiny life forms love salty, stagnant places, and when they bloom, they can turn water a deep red. The other culprit, iron oxide. When metal in the bunker walls or floor starts to rust and leach into the water, it stains everything red. It's basically liquid rust sitting there quietly, waiting for someone to ask too many questions. But just because it isn't blood doesn't mean it's safe. That water could be toxic, loaded with bacteria, chemicals, or gases just waiting to be disturbed. Bunkers were built to contain things. Whatever's in there might be better left alone. So no, it's not blood, but honestly, that might have been the least terrifying option. Robots are getting way too human, and it's honestly kind of unsettling. At first, it seemed cool, helpful even, but now we're seeing behaviors that go beyond programming. Take a good look at this one. Do you notice any human traits? Well, maybe that one was not too obvious. Well, take a look at this tiny robot. It was placed on a table with cockroaches crawling all over it, and it had a razor in its hand. The moment it noticed them, it got startled. It backed off and even seemed to yell for help. Then, almost panicked, it waved its arms and began swatting at the insects, smashing some in the process. You'd think it had actual fear, but robots aren't sentient, right? Then there's Mohammed, a male robot built in Saudi Arabia. At a public event, he was filmed alongside a female human presenter. Without warning or command, Mohammed reached out to touch her, but the company insisted it wasn't programmed to do that. So what could have led to that action? Well, the robot is male and he stands beside a beautiful female presenter. What if it was just acting out of its desires? Again, the robot being sentient is the only possible explanation. We have this robot that flinched when a hand came too close to its face. Not only did it move away instinctively, but it also grabbed the hand and gently pushed it away. Again, no direct programming told it to do that at that moment. And remember those robot demonstrations where they pushed to test balance? Well, this one was shoved violently to the floor. But when it stood back up and stomped its feet like it was angry about what was done to it, that's a machine showing defiance. Then there's the creepy one. A robot being questioned at a press event was asked something sensitive. It cut the speaker off mid-sentence and said, "Spit it out, human." That wasn't sass, that was attitude, frustration from a robot. Look, Machines are supposed to help us, but when they start to feel offended, act on impulse, or show signs of emotion or ego, that's a whole different ballgame, because once robots start thinking like us, what's stopping them from acting like us? So yeah, while I find some of this fascinating, I gotta be honest, it doesn't make me feel at ease at all.
In our study, we did explore how people felt about
Spit
AI-generated
it out,
content.
human. I'm all ears. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Bien, amigos. La verdad, disculpe si me quedo callado, pero estamos tratando de escuchar lo que...
A man went hiking in the mountains of Jalisco, Mexico, when he captured something truly unsettling. From his vantage point, he noticed something alarming happening below. The land itself seemed to be splitting apart. According to him, the area never used to look like that, but now it appeared as though the ground had separated, almost like the tectonic plates were shifting right in front of his eyes. In the footage, you can actually hear the rumble of the earth as it moves, and there's even smoke rising from the cracks. It's a chilling sight of nature in motion, and not in a peaceful way. So what's causing this? This type of land movement can sometimes be linked to tectonic activity, especially in a region like Jalisco, which is part of the Trans-Mexican Volcanic Belt. This is a geologically active zone. Earthquakes, magma movement, or even volcanic pressure underground could cause the land to shift, crack, or emit smoke. If it's happening along a fault line, it may be a precursor to a larger seismic event. Or could there be something more mysterious going on beneath the surface? This is an $18,000 three-day boot camp that promises to turn you into an alpha male. Yeah, 18 grand to get screamed at while doing push-ups and crawling through the dirt. It's honestly wild how many of these programs are popping up, because they're not really selling strength or confidence, they're selling the illusion of it, and they're doing it by preying on your insecurities. The truth is, most men aren't looking to dominate the world, they're just looking for a real challenge, something hard, something that proves to themselves and maybe to others that they're strong and capable. But modern life doesn't exactly hand out these kinds of challenges anymore, so now, here come the grifters, offering artificial hardship wrapped in macho branding. You want a real test of strength? Try this. Take care of your people, show up for your friends, help a stranger without filming it. Be kind without needing applause, lift others up instead of stepping on them. That's what being a real man looks like. Not letting some guy on TRT scream in your face for 3 days. Okay, maybe I went on a bit of a rant there, but yeah, you guys agree, right? A security guard was working the night shift when he saw something truly bizarre. He was watching the monitors when a strange humanoid figure appeared at the front gates. It looked like a dark silhouette that was barely solid, almost like it was flickering in and out of view. The figure slowly walks across the property. It looks almost transparent, like it was made of smoke or shadow. According to the guard, he wasn't the only one who noticed something odd about the place. His co-workers had told him before that they thought the property might be haunted. They had all seen strange things wandering by in the past, sometimes just outside the fence, other times near the buildings, but this time the guard saw it with his own eyes and even caught it on camera. But what could it be? Some kind of residual energy, or maybe even something more sinister? Back in 1936, 2 photographers were sent by Country Life magazine to photograph Rainham Hall in Norfolk, England. What they captured that day would go on to become one of the most iconic ghost photographs in history. As they were taking pictures of the grand staircase, they claimed to have seen a strange figure descending it. When the photograph was published, the results stunned everyone. There appeared to be a misty, human-shaped apparition gliding down the stairs. This ghostly figure became famously known as the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. The name comes from the brown brocade dress the spirit is said to wear, which fits the 18th century style. According to legend, the ghost is believed to be Lady Dorothy Walpole, sister of Britain's first Prime Minister Robert Walpole. She supposedly died under mysterious circumstances and was said to have been locked away by her husband in the hall until her death. Since then, numerous sightings have been reported in the hall, with visitors claiming to see a glowing figure with empty eye sockets and a chilling presence. While skeptics argue the photograph may have been an outright hoax, no one has ever been able to fully debunk it. Have you ever seen a ghost photograph that felt too real to ignore? We've all heard the strange stories about the North Pole, with accounts of secret civilizations and ancient mysteries buried beneath the ice. Most of these stories get brushed off as wild conspiracies, but then something like this pops up. This particular footage is said to have been shared by a man who visited the North Pole. He was filming his surroundings while walking through the snowy landscape. Then, as the camera rolls, he stumbles across something completely unexpected. This dark cave mouth is partially hidden in the snow. What's most bizarre is the entrance itself. It appears spiral-shaped, almost unnatural, like it had been carved or formed with purpose. According to the account that accompanied the video, the man who recorded it vanished not long after. That's what makes this even more chilling. The theory is that this location, whatever it is, was never meant to be seen by the public. Some suggest it could be a secret government site, while others believe it's possibly even the entrance to an inner earth or hidden realm. This footage isn't new either. It's been floating around for a while, resurfacing now and then in different forums and circles, and it still hasn't been fully explained. People still have questions. What was in that cave? Where did the man go? If you're someone who always has your head down, glued to your phone, even while walking outside, then this video is for you. This clip is from China back in 2017 at the hospital garage, and it captures a woman completely distracted by her phone. She was so focused on her screen that she didn't notice where she was going. Right in front of her were a pair of automated doors. One door slid open automatically and a car drove out, but the woman didn't even flinch or look up. As soon as the vehicle cleared, she walked right in, still staring down at her phone. What she'd unknowingly entered was an automated car lift system. This is basically a vertical elevator for cars, not people. The security footage shows her stepping in just as the doors behind her closed shut, trapping her inside. The lift immediately started moving, carrying her down to another level, and when it reached the lower floor, another car was already coming through the entrance, and tragically, it hit her leg as she moved in. She was injured, but thankfully, since this happened inside a hospital, she received help right away. Still, this entire situation could have been avoided if she had just looked up. Let this be a caution that the phone can wait, but your safety can't. Someone recently shared what they believe might be a Bigfoot sighting. They were out walking their dogs, just casually filming the trail and the surrounding woods. As they panned the camera across the tree line, something strange zipped by in the background. It moved quickly, but you can clearly see an upright figure completely covered in dark fur moving quickly and smoothly across a thick section of the forest. What's odd is how fluid the movement was. It's as though it were gliding through the trees. There was no stumbling or tripping like a person would in the snow. Now, this area is actually known as a Bigfoot hotspot, so a lot of folks believe that's actually what it was, but others are skeptical. Some say it could have just been a person in a thick winter coat. After all, it had snowed and the ground was covered in snow, so maybe the person was just sliding across the slope. Still, there's something about the shape and motion that doesn't feel entirely human. So what do you think? Is this just someone bundled up and moving weirdly in the snow, or did this person really film a Bigfoot? Let us know your thoughts and comments below. What is this strange sight? It looks like a bird's feet sticking out from a strange blob and the rest of its body just melted into it. It's bizarre and honestly a bit creepy, but what actually happened here? Well, this is something called a sea anemone. These are marine organisms that look soft and harmless, almost flower-like, but actually they're predators. Sea anemones have tentacles that sting and capture prey, then slowly pull it into their body to digest it. In this case, it seemed like a bird while hunting or resting may have landed on or near the sea anemone and got trapped. The sea anemone likely engulfed the bird, starting the digestion process, but the feet remained sticking out, unable to be pulled in fully. It's a rare but real example of how nature could be just as unsettling as it is fascinating. Have you ever seen anything this weird in the wild before? Up next, we have a deep-sea footage that's left people both fascinating and skeptical. It shows a bizarre jellyfish-like creature swimming through the dark ocean depths, constantly shifting shape as it moves. At first, it looks like your typical jellyfish, but then it starts to morph, transforming from one form to another right before your eyes. Now, skeptics argue that this has to be fake with how surreal it looks and how unnatural the colors are. But others think it might actually be real, especially considering the environment it was found in. The deep sea is incredibly dark, and many sea creatures down there have bioluminescence, which is a natural glowing ability that helps them navigate, hunt, or communicate in pitch-black waters. Because of this glowing trait, creatures from the deep often look otherworldly, so while the footage might look too strange to be real, it could genuinely be a little-known species of jellyfish or even a new discovery. The ocean is still one of the least explored places on Earth, after all. What do you think? A woman jolted out of bed with an uneasy feeling. The night before, she'd heard strange noises coming from a porch, like someone was out there. It unsettled her so much that the next morning, before doing anything else, she went straight to check the surveillance footage, and what she found left her speechless. Right in front of the bench, tucked into the right corner of a porch, something appeared. For just a moment, a shape flickered into existence, then vanished again, as if it had never been there. Let's rewind it and watch it closely. The shape seems to pop in and then fade right back out, too quickly and too sharply to be a trick of the light. Some who've seen the footage say the figure looks like it has a human-like head and shoulders, but it's hard to tell. The edges are fuzzy and the form doesn't behave like a person walking in and out of frame. It's more like a glitch in reality. Could it have been a cloaked figure briefly uncloaking? Some believe so. Others say it might be an interdimensional being or a ghost. Then there are the skeptics saying it's just a camera illusion, but those who know the feeling of being watched know better. Sometimes the scariest part of having cameras is the things we capture on them. A man came home one evening and called his wife to open the door for him, but she told him she wasn't home. She'd gone out with the kids. So imagine his confusion when he looked up at the house and noticed that the light was on in one of the rooms, and then for just a split second he saw something move, a shadow right at the window. But no one was supposed to be home, so what the hell did he just see? Was it an intruder or thief hiding inside, thinking the house was empty, or was it something else entirely? Because if no one was there and the house was locked, then that shadow shouldn't exist. Whatever it was, it left the man frozen on the spot. And honestly, what would you do if that were your house? Was it just a coincidence, or is there something else living in that home when no one was there? Also, why zoom in everywhere but the face? Okay, before anyone comes at me for sounding like a skeptic, we better move on in the next clip. A driver who travels the same route every night started noticing something strange. A figure always appears at the exact same spot along a stretch of road. At first, he brushed it off as just a coincidence, but it kept happening. So one night, he brought a friend along to capture whatever it was. As they approached the area, a man appeared on the side of the road. This wasn't a place people usually walked, especially not at night on a highway. Here's where it gets darker. Not long ago, a man had died in an accident at that exact location. Locals say his spirit still roams the area, and several drivers have reported seeing someone there, always at night, always in the same spot. Some people think it was just a random pedestrian, but others are convinced this was the ghost of the man who died there. The driver even shares his dash cam footage that captured the ghost man again. In the dash cam footage, the figure even appears briefly in front of the car before vanishing into thin air. Could it be just a coincidence or a genuine ghost encounter? Someone had parked his truck outside and stepped away for a bit. When he came back, he found a strange scene. Something curious was inspecting the back of his truck. At first glance, it looked like a cryptid. The creature was covered in thick black fur, had a long tail, and was standing on its hind legs while propping its front legs on the truck bed. It almost looked like it wanted to climb in. Many who saw the footage were quick to assume it was some unknown cryptid or bizarre animal. But before we draw any wild conclusions, let's clear this up. This creature is called a binturong, also known as a bear cat. Despite the name, binturongs are neither bears nor cats. They're native to South and Southeast Asia and a part of the civet family. They're known for their shaggy fur, prehensile tails, and unique musky scent that many say smells like popcorn. While it's rare to see, they're not supernatural, just unusual and often misunderstood, especially if spotted out of their natural environment. Still, it's not every day you see one casually inspecting a truck like that, not your average neighborhood visitor. Older, superstitious folks have always said the dogs howl when they see something beyond our world, like spirits or ghosts. This video comes from Indonesia. It was recorded around 2 a.m. when the dogs in this particular neighborhood began barking like crazy. They were outside in the front yard, which was open to the street, when the whole incident took place. Everyone heard them bark, but no one knew why. Thankfully, a security camera positioned to face the street and yard captured everything. In the clip, we see something that's hard to explain. A pair of legs, just legs, can be seen walking down the street. There's no upper body, just legs casually striding down the road, like it's the most normal thing ever. The dog's eyes follow the movement, tracking the legs, and barking until the figure walks completely out of frame. A few seconds later, the man of the house comes outside to check on the dogs, clearly confused by their behavior. He looks around, sees nothing unusual, and goes back inside. After all, if you've ever owned a dog, you've probably noticed how they suddenly start barking or growling into space, especially in the early hours of the morning. He probably might have thought it was one of those moments. If this clip proves anything, it's that even though we see nothing, there's most likely something lurking around, even if it's invisible to our eyes. Prior to our discovering this video, there were some who believe dogs do that because they've seen spirits. This clip might have just proved them right. While the community seems to be gravitating toward this theory, not everyone is convinced. There are some who think we're seeing the characters the way they appear because of the shutter speed of the camera and the fact that it's shooting in low light. I'm no camera expert, but I know these variables can affect the quality of footage and even give off this blurry, ghostly effect. Maybe we're just overthinking it. Maybe there really was spirits out there that day. What do you guys think? Do you believe in mystics? If you don't, you might want to rethink that after hearing about this one. Her name is Baba Vanga, a blind Bulgarian mystic whose eerie predictions have shocked the world for decades. Despite passing away in 1996, many of her prophecies have come true with unsettling accuracy. People credit her for predicting 9/11, the COVID-19 pandemic, the Chernobyl disaster, and even the death of Princess Diana. And now one of her most talked about predictions is supposedly about the year 2025. According to reports, Baba Vanga claimed that in 2025, extraterrestrials would arrive on Earth. They will arrive in a way that will dramatically alter human life as we know it. Some say she described it as a moment where the truth could no longer be hidden, that humanity will witness the appearance of alien beings or spaceships that will shift how we understand our place in the universe. She even hinted that this event would lead to major political and technological changes worldwide. Skeptics argue that her predictions are vague or misinterpreted, but others say her track record is too consistent to ignore. So, are the aliens already on their way? And if they are they bringing knowledge or chaos?
Yeah. Do you want to speak to him? Yeah, who's this? Steven? Are you playing games with me or what? Huh? Steven, if you're playing games, I'm going to kick your ass.
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
Huh?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Yeah, this is you, Steve, you idiot. You pissed me off. Jerk. I'm going to get you on... Let's see what it says. Review. One new call out of area. Is Steven out of the area?
How long are you going to be back from Texas?
Wait, say that again?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Back in 1993, a man named Gary Sudbrink received a phone call that has since become one of the most eerie and talked about unexplained calls in paranormal circles. To this day, many believe that the voice on the other end was not human, or at least not from this world. At first, Gary thought it was just a prank. The voice sounded strange, slow, mechanical, and deep. He assumed his brother was messing with him. But things quickly took a turn when Gary's parents joined the call, and it was confirmed that his brother was not even in town. The voice kept repeating bizarre and cryptic phrases, even mimicking Gary's brother at one point before revealing something chilling. It said his brother was being impersonated. The implication is that the voice on the line wasn't just someone playing around, it might have been alien. To this day, no one has been able to fully explain the call. Was it a government experiment, a hoax, or an actual contact from another intelligence that was mimicking voices and intercepting calls? Whatever it was, the Gary Sudbrink phone call reminds us of one of the most unsettling recorded calls ever captured.
How long are you going to be back from Texas?
How long?
You're being impersonated by the other voice.
Right. When am I coming back? Is that your question? Okay, there was a break. Hold on. You want to know when I'm coming back to Texas? Oh, is that your question?
So how long are you going to be back from Texas?
How long am I going to be back from Texas? That question doesn't make any sense.
By the other voice.
Okay. I'll be coming back eventually. I can't tell you when. You should know that answer to the questions because you seem to know more about me than I do.
This footage was shared from Mexico, where a man captured something truly unusual in the night sky. He was out late when he noticed a strange bright light above him. As the camera zooms in, you can see it's not just a light, it's a glowing ring hovering or slowly moving in the sky. Now, a few different theories are floating around. Some people believe it could be a portal or a tear in the sky, maybe even something interdimensional. Others suggest it might be a rocket exiting that atmosphere, leaving behind a ring-shaped glow caused by gases or particles reflecting the sunlight. There's also the possibility that it's an asteroid or comet entering our view, breaking through with a strange light signature. Whatever it is, the shape, the glow, and how still it seems, it's got people talking. Do you think it's something natural, or are we looking at something we can't explain yet? Not too long ago, people became completely obsessed with the Labubu dolls. You know, those small furry little creatures with mischievous grins stretched across their faces. They look cute, almost endearing, but something is unsettling about the way they smile. Ever since the Labubu craze took off, disturbing stories and eerie conspiracies have started surfacing online. Some say these expensive collectible dolls might be cursed. One story involves a girl who slept next to her Labubu doll, only to wake up with strange red markings she couldn't explain on her skin. Another video shows a Labubu doll swinging back and forth from a car's rearview mirror while the car was parked, engine off, and all the windows were tightly shut. How is that possible with no breeze flowing through the car? And perhaps the most chilling clip shows a child watching her iPad at night. Her mother had set up a camera in the room for safety. The little girl had a Labubu doll sitting next to the iPad on the table when suddenly the girl screamed. She says the doll moved. When the mother rewatched the footage, sure enough, you can see it. The doll moves on its own. Some online theories compare them to modern-day versions of Pazuzu, which is a demonic spirit from ancient lore. So are these stories real? Is there something darker hidden behind those white grins and glassy eyes? Or are people just letting their imaginations run wild?
Serious? Nobody's touching that. Nobody's in that car. What?
This footage is straight out of China, and it's alarming. You can see several street lights along the road smoking, sparking, and even catching fire. In some parts, the lights actually fall off their poles, and it's not just one or two. Multiple lights are malfunctioning at the same time. But what exactly is going on here? Now, keep in mind that China is one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world. They've integrated science and tech into almost every corner of everyday life, from smart surveillance systems to facial recognition, AI robots, and high-tech street infrastructure. Their cities are just packed with smart devices, so when something like this happens, it's a big deal. Some speculate that this could be a cyber attack from an enemy state to send a message. When it comes to enemies, China has many of those, so it's not very surprising that people will think that. There are also a few who just feel this might be nothing more than a serious malfunction in the smart grid. This sounds plausible, but to have so many of them at the same time is just weird. Whatever the cause is, this kind of widespread failure is not normal, and in a country that relies heavily on interconnected tech systems, well, this is even more concerning. The music industry always seems to sit at the center of bizarre speculation, and Cynthia Erivo is now the latest name added to the long list of celebrities caught in the crosshairs of conspiracy. Watch this clip of her performing on stage, and if you watch her closely, especially her hands, something looks off. Her fingers and palms appear to grow, becoming almost inhumanly large mid-performance. It's subtle, but when you catch it, it's hard to unsee. This has triggered the conspiracies of shapeshifters and people are pointing to the old theories of reptilians, occult ties, and the idea that certain stars gained fame through forces far darker than we can imagine. Just like other celebs who've made it, she now seems to have her own moment that leaves viewers wondering if there is something else going on behind the scenes. Some argue it's just a camera trick, lighting distortion, or an odd angle, but others are convinced this isn't a glitch but a quick slip-up in whatever mask this alleged beings wear. So have we lost the Wicked Witch of the West? Someone captured our next clip one night, and what they saw was nothing short of mesmerizing. Take a look. You saw it too, right? A blue light fell from the sky and illuminated the darkness around it. It moved with a graceful descent, casting an eerie glow that contrasted starkly with the surrounding night. The light seemed to pulse gently, creating an almost otherworldly aura as it fell. Blue lights in the sky have often been associated with UFO sightings, and looking at this, it's no different. The way the light appeared in the atmosphere almost made it feel as though it were going through a portal or something similar. Once it showed up in the sky, it didn't stay there. No, it zoomed toward the Earth as though it were late for an appointment. Now, natural lights or lighting objects don't behave like this, and neither do any human crafts that we know of. The only sane hypothesis we can give to this is that it's alien or extraterrestrial. Either that or this clip is fake, but what do you think? Meowing seagulls. Well, I've seen it all now. So they've done this because they're mimicking cats, hoping that they're gonna get some food, obviously. How's about that then, huh? I've seen it all now. With that, we end today's episode. Thank you very, very, very much for watching. Now, if you got any videos, any footage of any sort, then we need it. Send it to us at classifiedcaptures@gmail.com. We'll stick it on a video. We'll even mention you if you want. If you don't, we won't. Simple as. I've been Steve, and this has been Classified Captures. Now do me a favor and share this with as many people as you can. And I'll see you in the next one.